Bruce was very, very good, but he never fought in the ring.
Pesaba 60 y pocos kilos. Lo cogías y por la ventana.
He would say, well, I got to break something just before a scene. I go, you little Chinaman, you can't break shit.
There have been some rumors out there that Mr. Lee and I sparred. We never sparred.
Is it true you've never been in a real-life fight? What kind of a...
Our exercise routine lasted about 3 hours, and it consisted of push-ups, sit-ups, kicking the bag, sparring.
Bruce could beat us all. And I don't mean it would be a struggle. I mean, he could beat us all and we didn't have a chance.
Bruce Lee was untouchable.
He respected me because of my ability as a world champion.
Did you guys ever go at it in, in a real situation?
No, I was a professional fighter. I fought professionally then. And Bruce was very, very good, but he never fought in the ring.
Yeah.
Big difference. Kicking the bag is one thing. Getting in the ring and having someone kicking back at you is a whole different story.
Hey.
Norris, it's very interesting. And what I have, maybe if you would write this up. Sure. He said that he was talking about Joe, and he talked about, he says, I have a lot of faith in Joe, and I have a lot of faith in your mind, and I'm not quite sure about Chuck Norris, but he's a very nice guy.
Yeah,
that was a statement I heard, but I don't know if that's good to be print.
No, we'll print that off the record.
But he felt that Chuck wasn't a fighter.
Is it true you've never been in a real-life fight? What kind of a...
But he's good for the tagging.
Yeah.
Great point fighter. He might have been a great kickboxer, but he started getting into movies.
Let me explain. In point fighting, you throw a punch and you stop, let's say 2-3 inches or sometimes maybe an inch from the target, or you can make like light contact except to the face, and that's what point fighting is called.
They're trying to feint each other out to make the other man to defend something that isn't coming. Expect something.
And I came back to this country and they're throwing punches and kicks, not making contact, and then you got to fight some little bitty guy, he just waves his foot at your head or something and they give him the victory. So that made me, well, it left a bad taste in my mouth against the sport general. So Bruce Lee kind of got me back into the full contact stuff.
See, my last karate tournament was 1965. I got second place in 1965. That's my last tournament. That was Chuck Norris's first tournament. I remember showing him the trophy, and he looked at it and he goes, "You know why you got that? Because nobody there could fight. And they don't make contact. It's a game of tag." It's a game of tag. And why do I have a Charlie Gross here and a Charlie Gross here? Or a mid-cage here. Yeah. He looked at the trophy and says, "That's not the game of tag. There's no real contact. He says, you guys don't hit to the face."
I fought for the world title here in New York at Madison Square Garden in 1968. Bruce was doing a TV series called The Green Hornet, and so he was a guest. And after I had won the title, come back, we worked out together for a couple of years.
And what does that mean, let's work out? You go
we just
like
we just worked out.
Lift barbells together?
No, punching bags and and kicking the bag and all this kind of stuff.
You're not fighting each other?
No, I was a professional fighter.
And he was not?
But he was good. He was good.
So you could have beaten him?
Well, I don't even know. I didn't want to go there. I didn't go, and Bruce didn't want to.
You're being modest.
Bruce didn't want to go there, and I didn't want to go there. But anyway, we worked out together.
I know who Bruce Lee sparred with.
Yeah.
I know. They won't tell you. But I know people he sparred with. I never mention their names either. But Bruce Lee was untouchable.
Yeah.
He could spar the guy. I'm not saying whoever, John Doe. John Doe the great. Great champion. Okay? John Doe.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter what size. You can be a lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, didn't matter, Bruce. Bruce was lightweight. He could spar with anybody, any size. Didn't matter what size you were. He was the speed, the timing, the technique, unbelievable. I fought the best. I trained with the best. I know great martial artists, and there's never been anybody, in my opinion, like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, guys. You don't know how great this guy was. People don't really know. This guy was. I don't. There's stories I know about Bruce Lee that I don't even share. because I have respect for the people, other people in martial arts, and it's not necessarily name names.
He hit extremely hard. He could hit as hard as a heavyweight. He had real fast twitch muscle fibers, something he's born with. He trained hard. He worked on a lot of his stabilizer muscles, and especially his speed. I always thought he was like the fastest guy who ever stood in front of me. You didn't know when he was going to squeeze that trigger, and he always knew when you weren't ready. He had blinding speed, especially with his hands. And I know that's because he stood in front of me and he popped me a few times. I've always told people, I know how hard Bruce Lee could hit. I know how fast he was because he nailed me. And I've always told people, I know what real Jeet Kune Do was because I got popped with it.
A number of people, very famous fighters, who won't admit that Bruce actually trained him.
In the Sport Week of the Washington Star, printed in Washington, D.C. on August 16, 1970, quote, 3 of Bruce Lee's pupils, Joe Louis, Chuck Norris, and Mike Stone, have between them won every major karate tournament in the United States. Joe Louis was Grand National Champion 3 successive years. Bruce Lee handles and instructs these guys almost as a parent would a young child, which can be somewhat disconcerting to watch. It's like walking into a saloon in the Old West and seeing the fastest guy in the territory standing there with notches all over his gun. Then in walks a pleasant little fellow who said, "How many times do I have to tell you, you are doing it all wrong?" And the other guy listens intently, unquote.
I was already an amateur world champion and a 2-time national champion before I started work with Bruce. I think he helped accelerate my career, helped me defeat all the top guys in competition at that time, and helped me go back and think about getting away from porn fighting and putting full contact back on the map.
Well, we worked out in his backyard, and he had a bag back there, so we did a lot of punching and a lot of kicking, and we did a lot of exercises, a lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups, But the thing is, Bruce was a very rare type of individual. Exercise, conditioning was his life. And when I did the movie with him, you know, and doing that fight scene with him, just seeing how fast he was and what an incredible athlete he was, it was really an honor to be able to fight against him in this film. And but the thing is that our exercise routine lasted about 3 hours, and it consisted of push-ups, sit-ups, kicking the bag, sparring. We'd spar what we call attacking techniques, where I'd attack him and he'd defend, and he would attack me and I would defend. And this went on for 3 years until he left for Hong Kong to pursue his movie career, which I've already told you that we were respectful to each other as we worked out and sparred. No, Bruce and I never fought, you know, because he didn't have to go the competitive route. You know, Bruce was already a star, and he didn't have to become a fighter to develop that fame. I did. I had to become a fighter to develop the recognition that I got. Bruce didn't have to go that route. But I think if Bruce had, he would have done extremely well in the fighting realm. But he didn't have to go that route.
Never sparred Mr. Lee. There have been some rumors out there that Mr. Lee and I sparred. We never sparred. Closest we ever came to sparring, one time I went over to his house and we put on the helmets and the kendo gloves. And Bruce Lee had me fire a 40-inch strike at him. So I fired it at him, and the third time I fired it, he slipped to the side and came back with a triple counterpunch. Pow, pow, pow. Kind of smiled, took his helmet off. And that was the closest we ever really came to sparring. We would do drills where we would square off in front of each other. I'd fire a side kick at him, he'd fire a side kick back at me, back forth, but we never actually sparred.
Well, when I think of Bruce and use the term fighter, because my experience with Bruce was as a fighter, as a street fighter. I was never a tournament player. Well, Bruce, 135 against Jim DeMille, 225, Ed Hart, 240, 250, professional boxer, kill you with either hand, Jesse Glover, super athlete, judo, karate, all of us street fighters, Bruce could beat us all. And I don't mean it would be a struggle. I mean, he could beat us all and we didn't have a chance. This was in an actual fight situation where I tried to hit him. I tried to knock him out. We tried to hurt this kid because he was always embarrassing us in demonstrations and just in general. Tournaments are a game. I don't care how good you are. To me, tournaments do not reflect at all what a fighter is like, because most of the tournament fighters I've ever met have never been in a real fight. It's always been tournament. So when somebody tells me, oh, Bruce Lee never proved himself because he never went into tournaments, I'm the first one to say, I would like to spar with you. When I say Bruce was a fighter, I'm not saying that he was a good tournament fighter. I'm saying I'll put him against anybody, any weight division, any size, any background, and I'll put my money on him.
I think he had it in him. You know, I never saw him fight. I mean, I saw him do some sparring drills, but never really spar, you know, not with any world-class fighters. And then I can watch a person doing drills, I'm gonna say, he's got skills, see? But then you got to test a person, see? And you can check them here, see if they can take it here. Then you check them here, see it, and find out what your character is really based on. A martial artist could claim anything he wants. A lot of being a martial artist is based on myths and hearsay. So if you started fighting and competing and you have records that are kept, okay, now your credibility is based on facts, not myth and hearsay, you follow? So many wins, so many losses, so many draws.
There's a rumor Bruce is going to kill you when we start shooting again. I said, well, first of all, Bruce and I have been close friends for almost 11 years and training partners. Second of all, after my name, it says Bob Wall, world professional champion, retired. It doesn't say that after Bruce's name. Next, Bruce on a wet day weighs 150 pounds, 5'7". I'm 6 feet tall, 206 pounds.
I remember one day, he picks up a 75-pound barbell. He locks down in position, in standing position, starts on his chest, he sticks it straight out like this, slow motion. Holds it, sustains it. Try with half that weight. And then you know what 75 pounds feels like.
There you go. Just 3.
This is when we started sparring.
This is his hands. Yeah. Look where his hands are. Then?
Leaning back on the back, you know, instead of being up. He's throwing a flying kick as it is, see? Bob's got a split focus, because you know in his he's thinking, I could kill a legend here, but you know, we're not famous yet. What's so funny?
You know, I've heard a lot of descriptions of Bruce through the years. That's the first, I think, the word tough.
Yeah, he's tough.
That's interesting.
Because he's got a temper. He's a temper. He's a violent temper. Violent temper. I don't know if that's good for running you down, but he is a fun. If you, he didn't like to be touched. He would just go crazy. You know, he would be like a miniature Joe Frazier. Funny because for his size, you would think he'd be a technician.
Yeah.
But when he really got into it, he was like a Joe Frazier.
Pesaba 60 y pocos kilos. Lo cogías y por la ventana.
So Benny Dobbins, the stunt coordinator, the guy that hired me, he says, well, tease this guy a little bit and make him part of a family. And I weighed about 185 and he weighed about 130. And it wasn't a contest or anything. I just snatched him and picked him up and held him in what wrestlers call a crouching Nelson. He stuck. Then I ran down the stage and ran back. So he says, put me down or I'll kill you. He says, I can't put you down, you'll kill me. That was done with fun and game.
Nishioka, judo legend and friend of Bruce Lee, sharing some of his memories.
Well, as far as Bruce is concerned, he was really a tough guy. He's really tough, a little cocky at times, but he had something to be cocky about. And very, very quick, very fast. The power that he had in his punch was tremendous.
And how about on judo? Were you able to share any judo with him to help enhance his training?
Judo because he took judo from a guy named Chris Kato, who was an instructor up in Seattle. That's why he knew all of the techniques of judo. He knew what an osotogari was. He knew what a ippon seonage was. He would name them. And he was quite good at the entries. I don't know what he was like if you were to have held on to him. I do know this, that he wasn't good on groundwork, and if he had gone into groundwork, he would have lost. In fact, at one time I said to him, well, you know what, if we had a fight, if we came to a fight, I would just lay down. I said, what would you do if I just laid down? Because, you know, I'll choke you. I'll kick an arm bar on you. I'll pin you down, and you won't be able to do anything. He said, I'll just walk away. But then he turned around and he said, but you better not get up.
男記特約啦，特約嘅演員就向李小龍挑戰，咁佢嘅意思話佢想見識下截拳道，咁李小龍就話誒你落嚟，咁就打咗幾下啦。呢個朋友咧就俾李小龍踢咗一下。 就結束啦，好快嘅。
You think I'm faster than you are? Bruce says, okay, if you're betting me, let me help you out. He draw a circle on the ground.
Oh yeah, I didn't bet.
Remember, he draw a circle on the ground.
Yeah.
He says, I'm gonna let you hit me 3 times. Yeah. If you push me out of the ring, I lose. But I'm gonna hit you back 1 time. So the kid did, right? Yeah. Of course, he never pushed Bruce out of the ring. And then Bruce says, okay, my turn. So tell the kid, he says, I am going to hit you right here. He said, ready? And the kid says, what do you mean ready? Before he said anything, his teeth got falling out of the mouth.
His fighting style changed. Movie to actually street, it changed a lot. And he was not as fluent as he was in movies. He and I worked out together. The fighting science that he used in movies was not the fighting science he did in the street. It was totally different.
He would be like a miniature Joe Frazier. Funny because for his size, you would think he'd be a technician.
Yeah. The movements in which he did in the streets to actually defend himself wasn't anything close to what he did in the movie. But because I was able to move with him, he had what I call uncanny timing. He wasn't that fast, but in timing, there is speed in timing now. But if you ask me if he could get a wood fight in, absolutely, he would. But Bruce and I were very good friends, and I did train with him. And I learned from him, but he also learned from me.
In my personal opinion, Bruce Lee was a step above everybody. I mean, everybody. A step above, no matter how great everybody else was, Bruce was, boom, just a little step above. He was just absolutely unbelievable. I'm talking about sparring. I'm not talking about just working techniques. I'm talking about when it came to sparring, Bruce was unbelievable. Unbelievable. People don't know. They don't know. He's like the Michael Jordan, beyond Michael Jordan. It's just unbelievable. He could go hands
or he could go hands and feet. Doesn't matter to him. And he was a level above everybody.